A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. Don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before.
The conversation begun yet about Joe Biden and about the decision to ask him to step aside.
It will begin. That will certainly be part of the discussion.
Democrats orchestrated a very public stab fest, a proverbial stabbing in the front of the sitting president of the United States of America, and then didn't use him in his hometown of Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Biden should have dropped out a year ago or 2 years ago.
The timing, I think, of President Biden's decision to step down after the debate, something that if she does in fact lose, will be under a microscope.
One senior official I just talked to said Biden will hold a lot of blame for it, and frankly, they said he should.
And Barack Obama putting out a statement. He said, quote, I love Greg Gutfeld. Oh, I'm sorry. Progress requires us to extend good faith and grace, even to people whom we deeply disagree.
There is definitely a bit of the VP blame game going on. I mean, these margins, 0.5% swing towards Trump in Wisconsin, 18,000 votes, 38,000 votes in Michigan, 78,000 votes in Pennsylvania. Would Josh Shapiro have at least appeared as a moderating force? We know that she didn't do as well with Jewish voters as past Democratic candidates. But I do think, I agree with Jesse that this was about the fundamentals of the race. And I don't know if you've seen that New York Times chart with the arrows, the red arrows. They are everywhere, and they are all going in that direction. I mean, he outperformed 2020 every single place on the map. And I don't think that having a different VP on the ticket would have made a difference on that. The only thing that probably would have had any shot at changing things would have been if there had been a real primary a year ago. And maybe Kamala Harris would have been victorious in it. I don't know, but maybe you would have had Gretchen Whitmer or Wes Moore or Josh Shapiro at the top of the ticket, and that could have been different. But this was a fundamentals election, and like I said, a lot of people telling the Democratic Party, we don't like what you're selling.
We don't like what you're selling. That was her conclusion. One of the only times that I actually agree with Jessica Tarloff. The American people said, we don't like what you're selling. What's amazing to me is people think they ran a poor campaign, which they did, but they're saying that's why they lost. And that's not why you lost. You lost because you allowed boys in girls' locker rooms. This is amazing. They think they just needed to, started to push Biden out sooner, or maybe let Kamala Harris be on the ticket sooner or later, or maybe we need it. It's like, are you guys that disconnected? You lost because you sided with 16-year-olds who want to chop off their body parts and not tell the parents. That's why you lost. You lost because you changed Title IX and you abandoned women in sports. That's why you lost. You lost because of your ridiculous thought that we're going to have a completely energy green whatever demanding the car everybody has to buy. I mean, this stuff, this is not rocket science. You didn't lose because you didn't run a good campaign. You did lose because you had a horrible candidate. You probably shouldn't run a communist. Okay? Don't run communist. If you want to win, if you want to be competitive, don't run communists. And so don't even get me started on the price gouging and the government homes. It's ridiculous. That's why you lost. The way you guys look down your nose at the rest of the country. That you completely abandoned the working class. Like your lust to censor any and everyone that doesn't agree with you. That's the reason you lost. It's like unbelievable. This is from the Daily Mail. Who lame duck Joe Biden blames for Kamala's catastrophic defeat as Democratic Party tears itself apart. And they are they are absolutely tearing themselves apart, and for good reason. The people surrounding Joe Biden blame Nancy Pelosi for Kamala Harris's election loss as Democrats have begun to bicker over who caused the party's disaster. I just told you. Your party did. Remember that girl, the woman who was going back and forth with Senator Hawley? And she asked him, well, let me ask you, can men get pregnant? And he was like, no. She goes, transphobic, you're transphobic, thank you. It's like not one Democrat stood with Josh Hawley. That's why you guys lost. Some of this stuff is amazing to me. The blame game went into overdrive last night as Biden confidence told senior White House reporters they hold the former Speaker of the House responsible for him being pushed out of the race. Biden world sources claim that not only should the president have stayed in the race, but that he would have won the white working class voters who Harris largely ceded to Donald Trump. That isn't true. Joe Biden was the reason you lost him. You abandoned the people that got you in the White House. And I guess Donald Trump tried to tell you, you vote for this guy, you're going to be paying $5, $6, $7 for gas, but nobody believed him. It's amazing to me. The claim that Pelosi got him out of the race is comparable to how Biden blames Barack Obama for demanding he not run in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. However, there was also a sense of treachery within the president's ranks, as sources told CNN senior White House correspondent Tsae that he himself was more deeply unpopular than anyone grasped. Thank you. Joe Biden was hated. I already showed you guys. He had like a 38% job approval. He was despised. The thought that him staying in the race, we would have won. No, he wouldn't have. He still would have lost. He just would have had a better showing than Kamala. But he still would have lost. This is like amazing that people don't understand. It's the reason that you guys you think you're better than us. The way you look down your nose at us. Hold on a second. Let me show you this, because it's every now and again, a person has a moment of clarity. And Jessica Tarloff has a moment of clarity.
Congratulations to President-elect Donald Trump and to those of you at the table who were supportive. I think that there have been a good amount of Democrats who have understood what this was, which was not only a repudiation of the Biden administration, which Vice President Harris is part of, but the way the Democratic Party has been doing business the last two cycles. And a lot of the lessons that should have been learned from Hillary Clinton's loss were not learned now. And the 2020 election was an aberration election because it was a COVID one. And I think that you're right, Judge, about this being leftover from COVID, but not about people thinking about lockdowns, but about inflation. that was one of the residues of all of this, and that telling people, well, now it's 2.5%, so you should be thankful for that, is not enough when their necessities still cost more. The 70% on the wrong track, those are on almost impossible threshold to surmount. But I've been thinking about this kind of in two buckets, that we had policy failures and we had personality failures. So policy failures, I think, particularly on the cost of living, inflation, and especially on the border, and that there was never a good answer for that. And I'm not saying it would be impossible to have made the gap, certainly she would never have been on top, but we could have made the gap smaller on that by just being an honest broker about what happened. What was the rationale for pulling back a lot of Trump's executive actions and not doing anything?
Yep. The problem, Jessica, is that you didn't say that before the election. You're only saying that now because you lost. Had they won, she would have never conceded that. But look, I still give it to her. At least she finally comes to the conclusion. But you should have said that at the outset. It's the inauthentic, win at any cost, throw any integrity out of the window. That's why you lost.
And then on personality failures, there was a prison guard who was being interviewed this morning, voted Clinton, Biden, now Trump. Why? Well, I don't think that the party thinks good things about me. I don't think that the party thinks that I'm a decent person.
Yep.
And when you constantly harp on, and I am guilty of this myself, well, the college educated, well, what is that saying about everyone who doesn't have that kind of degree? And now it's not just white working class, and Bernie Sanders released a scathing statement about all of this, but it's now black working class and Latino working class.
It's just the working class.
Right.
That's right.
But so lots to think about, I think.
It's just the working class. Identity politics. You guys started calling black people white supremacists. That's why you lost. You start calling Latinos white supremacists. You had a rally at Madison Square Garden with Jews, Arabs, black people, white people, Asians. You had every walk of life, and you called it a Nazi party. That's why you lost. It isn't rocket science. It's the way you guys fundamentally look down your nose at us. That's here. Hang on. Take a look at this. Now, this comes from, this guy is, I will call him a Democrat operative, but he does a lot of postings. Brian Krasenstein. And this, look at what he says. Serious question. What do you make of this, and why would anyone think that this reflects well on Make America Great Again? Most educated states in America: Massachusetts, Democrat; Vermont, Democrat; Maryland, Democrat; Connecticut, Democrat; Colorado, Democrat. Least educated states in America: West Virginia, Republican; Mississippi, Republican; Louisiana, Republican; Arkansas, Republican; Oklahoma, Republican. So what they're saying is, you see, we have the most educated. And this doesn't reflect well on you because you're not as educated as we are. It's like, so first of all, Arkansas produced one of your greatest presidents. One of the people you venerate, Bill Clinton. So that's first. But second, that's the reason they lost. They're constantly looking down their nose at us. So when you see them on television and they're bickering about it was Joe Biden's fault, no, it was Nancy Pelosi's fault, no, it was Harris's fault, no, it was this, it was that, it was that. It's like they completely miss the fact that not only were your policies garbage, you were so far out of touch with most Americans on cultural issues, it's laughable. I mean, you lost the race before it even began. I mean, all Donald Trump had to do was say, hey, I'm not going to let men compete with women in sports. Bada boom, bada bing, we're done. That's it, it's over. Because most people are not okay with that. How does that escape you? How does Drag Queen Story Hour, how is that good for you? How do you not see? That's the reason you lost, because you thought it was a good idea to have 8-year-olds in gay strip bars. That's why you lost. It's got nothing to do with Joe Biden saying this and Nancy Pelosi saying that. That has nothing to do with anything. Oh my gosh. It's unbelievable to me. It really is. It's unbelievable, but they can't see it. They can't see it. All right, that's it for now. Hey, if you like this video, smash that like button and subscribe. And if you're following me on Rumble, please press that follow button. And until the next time, God bless.